Ladies and gentlemen, everyone, welcome to the REDX podcast. Welcome back. If you are a returned listener or viewer, my name is Andrew Swenson. I'll be your host today. We've got an amazing person on our podcast today. I'm so excited to talk to him and to share some amazing knowledge and hacks and habits with you. Andy Rosas. Did I say your last name right?
You did. My football coaches will call me Rojas, but you nailed it. Rosas.
Yep. Awesome. Well, Andy, we are so excited to have you today. How are you doing today?
Doing awesome. Thanks. I'm honored to be here, Andrew. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Well, we are so excited to have you. As always, if you're joining us live on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, on our website, wherever you are at, please chat in. Let us know where you're from. Let us know that you're excited to be here. If you have any questions for Andy, any questions for us here at REDX, put those in there. We're going to do our best to get those answered. We are going to talk about some amazing stuff today. First and foremost, we are going to be talking about habits. You see it there on Andy's name, the habit guys, realtor habit on your shirt. Perfect. I didn't even notice that.
That's it. Yes.
Realtor habit experts, because when it comes to prospecting, when it comes to lead generation, where a lot of agents struggle is with habits and doing it consistently. Right, Andy?
That's what it's all about. If you're not doing it consistently, it's not getting done. It's not getting done at all.
Amen. So we're going to dive into some amazing habits. We're going to talk about what habits you should implement, how to keep them up consistently, routines, and how those are a key part of habits. And most importantly, how to make prospecting enjoyable and fulfilling. And when we cover all that, we're also going to dive into how REDX and prospecting ties into a lot of that in very important ways. But first, Andy, let's get to know you a little bit, man. Tell us where you're from. Tell us a little bit about your career and what landed you here with the Habit Guys.
Well, so born and raised in Los Angeles, over there in Inglewood, California, moved to Miami, right? Then played some college football at FAU, right? I got my little mug here, go Owls, you know? I played as a kicker, by the way. I'm only 5'10", Andrew. I know I look tall in the podcast, right? So, and then I got into public speaking after my my college career, got into seminar business, became a public speaker, motivational speaker for very world-renowned companies like Tony Robbins, Zig Ziglar, Robert Kiyosaki from Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Jack Canfield, you name it. I used to work for them, train for them, sales for them.
Names.
Yeah, huge names. So
nice.
I've been trained by the best of the best. Been honored to do so. And I did that for about 12 years. Then I got into real estate in 2007 as a CE trainer for brokers and agents. And then I realized, holy cow, agents need help. They're not as professional and they're not as good as we think they are. They don't have good habits at all. Like, it was just awful. I'm like, oh my gosh, 2007. Because we were teaching, with all these self-improvement gurus, we talked about habits. We talked about behavioral science, right? Which is the fancy word for habits, understanding why we procrastinate. Why do we say something's important to us, but we don't make time for it, right? All these psychological things that no one wants to really pay attention to, but it runs everything we do.
Sure.
So I realized there was a huge gap that real estate was not talking about habits. So my business partner and my business partner's name is Michael Manrique. He's my best friend from high school. And we just literally said, let's research habits. Let's put it all together, find out what's out there, the studies on behavioral science, and let's just inject it into real estate, because there's a 90% failure rate in our business as realtors. Yep. And that's a problem. And it's because agents have crappy habits because they leave their job where they have employee habits. They're told what to do, who to call, rescheduling people. When you call people as an employee, guess what? People call you back. When you write emails as an employee, people write you back. So they get used to this behavior of hearing and seeing results, right?
Yes.
So that's what we're like, wow, as an employee, it's easy to prospect because people pick up the phone.
Well, I love that point. That same point got brought up on a training I was on earlier this week, where they said, we're real estate agents because we don't want to work those boring, monotonous jobs, right? Sure, you get a paycheck every week. Sure, it's very stable, but it does get monotonous. And they said, okay, well, then what's keeping you from prospecting? If someone came to you and said, get on the phone and talk to 30 people a day and I'll pay you $200,000 a year, doesn't that sound easy? Amen. Doesn't that sound like no problem? Okay, then why aren't agents doing it? Right? Why does it seem and feel that hard? So I love it.
And that's what we teach in my program with Habit Guys, in my program, Habit University. We teach that. It's called identity, Andrew. That identity is, as an employee, as an identity as an employee, you're like, you know what? People are going to pick up the phone. I'll call. I'm told what to do. And I can work little out. I work my 8 hours. I'm done. So it's an identity that happens. But a top producer's identity, they have different belief systems. And an identity, so you know what, by definition, is your belief level. What you think you can or cannot do. So listeners, if you're listening to this, I'll tell you flat out, if your identity and your belief level is that you feel like you cannot connect with people, and I'm just not good with people, people are not nice. If that's your identity and that's your belief level on the inside, and you're like, Andy, I'm just not someone that just calls, and I'm not, if that's your identity, then guess what? You're not going to make the call. Right. You're not. The second someone hangs up on you, it's going to go, oh, see, I told you, people are mean. People are awful. I'm not a prospector. I'm not someone that connects. I know this. So I'm just going to do something else. And let me update my profile picture. Let me go on the MLS and learn other things and go do 20,000 other things, but not prospect.
Right. So negative identities and negative habits reinforce negative identities and negative habits. Yeah.
Yes. That's exactly. Have you been taking my program, Andrew? That's exactly
I haven't, but I maybe I should come help you teach it. It sounds awesome.
Yes, you should, man. But that's exactly it, because until we talk about habits and identity, Andrew, I don't want to talk about anything else, because as good as REDX is, which is amazing, and that's why I absolutely love you guys, as good as you are, guess what? If you don't change people's habits and identity, they're not going to use it. You'll sell the program for a month or two, and then people fall off because they're not using it anymore. And then they blame you guys for it not working. It doesn't work. Well, let me check your dashboard to see how many freaking calls you made and how long you're on the phone for before you actually return this product to us. That's what I would do if I was you guys.
And it sounds a little cliche.
Yeah.
There you go. It sounds a little cliche, but it works if you work it, right?
Exactly.
It's that kind of a thing, but it's proven. Yeah. And I love this. I love that we're getting into habits, because at REDX, we're trying to be super honest about exactly what you're talking about, right? That it's not perfect, right? You're going to get some wrong numbers. You're going to get objections. You're going to get people just, screaming and cussing at you, but that shouldn't slow you down and that shouldn't stop you. So let's start with this identity conversation. Identity, your belief level, you are, or, what you can or can't do. I love this idea. Can we kind of get granular and dive into how this applies and ties into prospecting, and where agents should start to form their identity for positive, profitable prospecting?
Gotcha. No, not a problem. Identity, by the way, your belief level in yourself, so everyone knows, started off as a kid. Okay. Everyone's running around with identities that they haven't changed in years. So, Andrew, someone may have a fear of prospecting and calling on the phone because maybe as a childhood memory, when they asked a question to somebody, they got retaliated for it, they got beaten up for it, and then they have a negative association with communicating to somebody and rejection and talking to somebody. Right. So you're dealing with identities that people are walking into our real estate business that haven't been changed in years, okay? Right. And also, from an identity perspective, over 60% of our realtors are women, okay? Women are, on average, are not used to being told no, right? As men, we're used to rejection because usually we're the ones saying, hey, you want to go on a date with me? Do you want to go out? They're used to being told no. So their identity is a little bit more, okay, I can deal with the rejection, right? So that also happens where you see people that are just dealing with childhood traumas from years ago that they're not checking in, right? So that's where it all starts from, right? It could be your childhood, what country you're born in, what TVs you watch, what TV shows, what podcasts you listen to, and then your identity begins to get shaped, negative or positively, right? Identities all the time. Right? And we have different identities with food, identities with prospecting, identities with working out. There's so many different identities, okay? Your belief level about yourself, what you think you can and cannot do. Because remember, everything you do in life it starts off with, do you believe you can do it? Everything you do behind it, it's a system of beliefs live in every action. So if you can't sustain a diet, it's because on some level you believe you can. If you are having some spiritual gaps, right, it's because on some level you believe you can or cannot. If you're having some relationship issues, it's because on some level you have an identity issue where you believe you can or cannot be with that type of person, right? Or with money, same thing. So that's where it starts from, right? So we have these identity issues. So to answer the second question you ask is, well, how do you start? How do you start to change that, right? First philosophy we teach in Habit University is you got to keep things simple. Okay. Keep things simple. And you got to start off like when people sign up for our program, I tell them you're going to just make one call. That's it. Just make one call a day for the first week. People are like, what? No, Andy, I got to make 20 calls a day to be a top producer. I got to ask them, well, how many calls were you making before? They're like, oh, I'm 0. Nope. Because if you think you're going to do 20 calls in a day, you're not going to, because that's too difficult. It's not, It's not simple. And you're going against human behavior. And that's why people start off at the gym working out. I'm going to work out 3 hours a day. And then they crash in about a week or 2 or in 2 months because their identity is like, hey, buddy, that's not us. We don't do those kind of things. And you go back to your old habits.
Baby
so what
steps.
you have to do is you got to start slow and steady. It's got to be easy. That's why I love your dialer. REDX with your dialer, it's simple. You guys take the demon out of your head because I push one button and the phone starts dialing. So I have no choice but to, okay, I got to either leave a voicemail and drop a voicemail, right? Or say something on the phone. So it does it for you, which is fantastic, by the way. That's a huge, huge bonus that you guys have at REDX from a psychological perspective of making things easy.
Right. Making it harder to say no, or making it hard, letting the system do it for you, which when you become an expert prospector, it's automated, it's fast, you're just killing it, you're killing it. But I love that you brought up the point of, for getting started, it helps you ease it into it and forces you to really commit, right?
It does. It forces you. Because when you tell people, hey, make a call on your phone, right? So they'll do this. They'll pick up their phone, they'll call, they'll look at the name of the person and go, oh man, but I haven't spoken to them in a long time. But what if I used to date their third cousin? What if they think it's weird that I call them? And all these little, limiting beliefs start coming out of nowhere. And by the time they press dial, they went to go grab a cup of coffee.
Right.
They went to go fix their room and just do their dry cleaning instead. They went to go do something else because their brain their old habits, and they say, you know what? I'm out of here. So that's why the dialer is like, sorry, boom. And then I got so excited that you guys are coming out with a new program with Sphere, which is fantastic. Because then I can upload my phone and just keep these things going, calling my cell phone for me, which is fantastic, right?
Yes.
And I'm not even thinking about it. And I'm not even thinking about it.
Right.
So yeah.
It's a very intentional autopilot, right? You got to get on autopilot. You got to just go through the motions and get it going. So this is fantastic. We're talking about identity. We're talking about how limiting beliefs limit what you can do to perform. So you take some baby steps, you work your way up, you start prospecting every day. Maybe eventually you are making those 20 calls a day, 50 calls a day. What routines do you suggest people form around that? And I know routine is kind of another word for habit, but I'm going to call it daily habits, right? A routine is kind of daily or weekly habits. How would you tell agents or recommend to agents that they structure their daily routine or their weekly routine to support these positive habits?
What I would tell them, first of all, is this. I like to ask them, I go, so what time do you prospect every day? I ask them. And if they don't have an answer for me, we're already going against the grain. One of the biggest things you need to do, and ask them, so where do you prospect? They're like, what do you mean? I go, yeah, where? At your office? At home? In your car? They're like, oh, I prospect whenever I have time. I go, oh, sheesh. I can't swear on the podcast. So I'll say sheesh, okay?
I appreciate it.
Oh, sheesh. Then guess what? You're not prospecting every day. I can sniff it, because if you're not intentional, so for habits to form, okay, it needs to be, you got to prospect at the same time and at the same place. The majority of the time. Keyword is majority, Andrew. This is not about being perfect. I'm not here to beat my chest and go, you got to be perfect. And no, some days, some things happen. You'll be out of things. Like yesterday, we had a huge event with Ricky, right? We had the team out there as well. It was awesome. We had 700 agents. So I wasn't prospecting at 10 in the morning like I always do with my students from 10 to 11, right? I had an event to go to. Mike covered for me. It happens, right? I didn't prospect yesterday. Well, on the phone. I did prospect in person. Okay, I met a lot of great people. It was awesome. But things happen. But I tell you, so Andrew, you need to prospect. So listeners, you need to prospect at the same time, same place. So you need to build a morning routine for yourself, okay? By the way, if you would like a free morning routine as well, we're going to give you a call to action as well as to where you can get it on our website. It's habitguys.com. We have a morning routine there for you on our website, okay? where we give it to you for free to help you build your morning routine. So it helps you get up because the biggest thing is this: if you don't have a morning routine from the time you wake up to when you prospect, you're just going to get random results in your life.
Right.
Because your kids are going to wake you up. You're going to check your Instagram and be lost in Googling polar bears for no reason, right? You pick up your phone. You're like, why did I spend 30 minutes on the phone? Like, right. And then time just keeps on going. So I strongly recommend agents. You got to get specific. You need to say to yourself, and by the way, we strongly recommend as top producers, your prospecting should be done in the morning. Okay. To get it done. Your first wave of prospecting. Okay. Yes.
From when to when? What time frame exactly?
I do myself. I do 10 to 12, but I like to open it up from 9 to 12. It's fine. It depends on where you're at. If you're a part-time agent, okay, then I would say fine, 9 to 12. Or if you have a full-time job and you can't do it in the morning, I get it. Then as soon as you get home, you need to treat the moment you get home like a morning routine. As soon as you get home, okay, I need to do this, this, and this, and be on the phone at 5 p.m. Right? So you just kind of have you have like an afternoon routine. So instead of from waking up to prospecting, it's I get home from work and prospecting. Whatever that routine is, you got to go ahead and do so. Okay. So it's got to be the same time, same place, at your same desk. Okay. Get rid of distractions around you. It needs to be your prospecting station. Okay. Because if you have windows open, I recommend having your REDX, your dashboard already open. So all you have to do is open your laptop, you have REDX right there opening up on Google for you, right? So you got to take distractions out of way, right? And the same time as well. So everyone in your house knows, hey, dad is prospecting from 10 to 11 or from 9 to 11 or from 10 to 12, whatever it is, or that 1 hour, whatever that is, because you can crank out 100 phone calls with your dialer without a problem in that 1 hour and get 2 or 3 emails, which on average, if you can get 2 or 3 emails, okay, you can probably be making $70,000, $80,000 a year in this business. Just grabbing 2 or 3 emails Monday through Friday, you can do that, right? 5 emails, you're looking at about 100K or so, right? Depends on where you're at, but that's where it's at. So that 1 hour, if you can grab 1 or 2 emails a day, Monday through Friday for 10 months, I give you 2 months off. Guess what? You can make 60, 70, 80 grand a year in this business without a problem. So same time, same place is what I recommend, Andrew, right? And you have to do that. And I know it sounds ridiculous and people say no, but I say the same thing with working out. If you're not specific on when you're going to work out, you're not going to work out. The afternoon, I was like, oh, I'll work out in the afternoon. What usually happens, Andrew, when you push your workout to the afternoon?
You don't do it. You skip it.
You don't. Distractions happen. Your girlfriend has a party to go to. You got kids. You have an event to happen. Your people are calling you for their priorities. So that's why I tell people, prospect in the morning, get your spiritual practice done in the morning, whatever your belief is on spirituality, get it done in the morning, and some sort of physical activity done in the morning. That's what you got to get done.
I love it. And it sounds like some of this, your daily routine even starts the night before, right? You said make sure that Vortex is ready to go on your computer the first thing when you open up your laptop. Make sure that you know what you're going to do, where you're going to be, what you're going to be calling, who you're going to follow up with. Yeah, exactly. Have that decided the night before so that when you wake up in the morning, there's no questions, there's no doubt, there's no distractions. You know exactly what you're doing. Yes, you've committed to it, you've slept on it, and I think that helps ingrain it a little bit better, right?
Yes, it does. That you nailed it, because the night before you can have that ready to go, because a big problem with the brain is if you give it any type of moment to distract itself, it's going to go that way, right? But if it already has the sheet up, what area you're going to prospect to, and your dialer already has the preloaded information already in there. So all you're doing is pressing dial, boom, and it starts calling them. That's why I'm telling you, it's all the psychological principles of how the Vortex works and REDX is fantastic, because I'm telling you, you're taking the brain out of it, which is huge. Because the brain and identity and all that, that's what gets in the way. It has nothing to do with willpower, has nothing to do with goals or lack of motivation. It's because people just don't have the habits in place to be able to use all these systems.
And that's why you're the habit guy. I love it.
That's it.
Excellent. So okay, let's break this down again. We've covered, identity and how that plays into all this. We've talked about having the right beliefs. We've talked about getting the right routine and morning routine ready. Okay, I'm on the phones. I'm an agent. I'm on the phones. I'm making my calls. I'm doing it every day, same time, same place. I feel like I'm doing okay. but maybe I'm not getting the results I want. Maybe I'm not enjoying it. Maybe it's not as fulfilling as I want it to be. How do you make prospecting enjoyable and fulfilling day after day if you're doing this Monday through Friday?
Awesome question, Andrew. That's a great question because you're right. Guys, guess what? Prospecting can be boring. I'll say it right now, guys. There's times I am bored out of my mind. My cat looks at me and is like, dude, you're still prospecting? I'm like, yes, I'm still prospecting, right?
And if you're more bored than your cat, there's something wrong.
Yes. And he gives me that unimpressed look, like, really, dude? You're like talking to anybody, right? Because people are not picking up the phone. People are hanging up on me. People are like, wrong number, but whatever it is, right? It's not fun. So there's a psychological principle called habit pairing, okay? Habit pairing is pairing the behavior you want to actually make a habit with something you actually enjoy. So something I tell students is this, and by the way, before REDX, before I knew you guys, I would tell people, hey, when you're making the calls, you got to have, maybe have a cup of coffee with you. You love coffee? Have some coffee with you. Have some little, some music in the background playing a little bit, some music that you actually like. So it actually makes it like a pleasurable experience. Like, you know what? Great. Have a snack that you enjoy. And I love it now with REDX now. I just have the phone on, the phone's ringing, and I'm literally just coffee in my hand now, waiting for the things to ring. I have a snack that I enjoy. I got a little bit of like chill trance in the background, which I love. I got playing in the background, just chill, creating an environment that's enjoyable. These are things that I like. My brain is like, you know what? We like these things, right? Yeah. While you're doing it with something that's not as enjoyable, which is prospecting, right?
Sure. So here's one I've heard. Here's something everybody likes is money. I know I've talked to prospectors who they get a string and they hang it across their office, and then they hang like a $1 bill, or if you can afford it, $5 bills, $20 bills, and they hang a bunch of them up. When you make a contact, you grab $1 or a bill, whatever it is. When you set an appointment, maybe you grab one of the 20s. And then if they don't role play with their partners, if they don't show up on time, if they fail to do their prospecting, they have to give some of that money to fellow agents or their broker or whoever. Because what's also going to reinforce not doing negative things? Losing money, earning money, the visible earning. Yes, exactly.
There has to be pain. Another big driver of people taking action from a human pay perspective is having pain. In fact, recently we just changed our business model where because our coaching program is a year long, right? And the first 30 days though, you got to do a habit contract with us where if you don't make your calls, you get penalized $25 minimal. So and if you don't commit to the program, then I say don't sign up for it, right? Because you're right. You got to have some pain. So you're right. Grab that money from the string to pay yourself. And if you don't make your calls, you have to donate that money. You have to, give it to somebody else. And you're right. It's $1, $5, whatever is painful for that person. Because some people can put 20s, some people can put 50s, 100s, or ones. It's up to you. But you're right. You nailed it, Andrew. You got to have some pain and pleasure too, where you're like, all right, cool. I'll take this money and this will be my extra spending money to go out or whatever that is. Right. And so that's pretty cool. Yep. Right. Absolutely.
Well, I'm glad you like that. And bringing it back to fulfilling is, I've also heard a lot of agents say that when they need motivation, they break down their numbers, right? Do you do anything like that where you say, okay, for every X amount of calls I make, I know that every one of those calls is worth X amount of dollars? I mean, do you get really meticulous tracking like that, or how do you?
Not specifically in that way. We have a paperclip method that on every phone call, right, or every activity you do, it could be phone calls or activities, you just can have a bunch of paper clips, and then you mix in color paper clips. So standard paper clips and then some colorful ones in there, right? So you mix them up. So throughout the day, you have a container filled with paper clips and color ones in there, okay? And an empty bin. And then for every call you make, you just move one paper clip over. You move another paper clip over. And then you start to see a physical evidence that you're making calls, which I love the dashboard. That's why I love your dashboard that you guys had that shows me my numbers and my data of my calls, because that's physical evidence that I'm making calls. We have a same sheet that we go old school. Here I know how many calls my students make, how many conversations they had, and how many emails they got. so they can physically see that they're making progress, even though they got 0 deals for the week, 0 deals for the month. So the paperclip method, okay, you move that over. Then for every color one you pick up, you give yourself a treat. You give yourself a bonus. You can maybe watch 20 minutes of a show, 10 minutes of a show, or you can go eat some ice cream. I don't know, whatever you want to go ahead and do to reward yourself, okay? That's pleasurable for you, okay? But that's not going against your productivity, right? Because if you're trying to lose weight and you're eating ice cream for every paperclip, then you're actually hurting yourself, right? So maybe a nice protein bar that you enjoy, whatever that is. So you start to physically see the evidence that you're making phone calls. Your belief level starts to change because you start seeing, I'm actually making the calls. Yes, I'm not seeing the results. I'm not seeing the results, but I'm seeing the evidence of phone calls being done.
Right.
And that's a physical environment change and trigger. Remember, your brain sees it and goes, all right, you know what? I am making my calls. I do feel good about this, right? So that's a fantastic thing for you to do, to physically see the evidence of you making calls, making it fun as well. And not getting attached to the outcomes.
Wonderful. I love that. And I'm glad that you said attached to the outcomes. That kind of reminds me of something I want to talk about here, which is how can agents keep their mindset in check? How do you recommend they check their mindset so that they can stay in this mindset of, or they can avoid being accused of being salesy, right? Because I think a lot of agents, that's a big rejection, or maybe that's a big self-doubt, a doubtful identifier they have, is that, well, I just feel like I'm pushing the sell. I feel too salesy. I don't want to have commission breath is one I hear all the time. How do you recommend agents, call to connect rather than call to sell?
That's the first thing I'll say. Their mantra, to write it down, is you're calling to connect, not to sell. Is the first thing people you got to understand is you're calling to connect. And I know you guys have scripts. I know with my team as well, we got scripts that we use with Ricky Caruth. I'm on his team, and we have very similar scripts where we're like, hey, we're there to just give value, to connect with them. And all you're there to do is, you're not there to close them. You're not there to get a deal out of them. You're just there to let them know that, hey, I am here for you. If you need help, I'm here for you. And if the day ever comes that you ever want to buy or sell real estate, do you have a realtor that you would ever work with? And so I would say the script has a lot to do with it too, because I come from very salesy scripts back in the day, and I hated it. They say, hey, you thinking about buying or selling in the next 90 days? Oh, no, and it's like, no, what the heck what are we doing here? And then people feel like they had that sales breath, right? Yeah. And the biggest thing I'll tell people is you got to have a script that's just authentic. And that's what we have, right? Where you got to just call. And if they say, yes, I have a realtor, you're happy for them. If they say, no, I don't have a realtor, you're happy for them. And you say the same thing. Hey, let's just stay in touch. You get their email. You put them on a CRM automation where they receive an email from you every single week, right? You stay in the drip. Like today, I got a guy who's been not responding to me for months. He calls me, says, I'm in town, Andy, tomorrow. I want to see properties. He's a cash buyer. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're the infamous Dave Miller I've been sending out emails to automatic, and you've never been writing back. It's just great. But if that's what agents have to understand, if you just call to connect and make a friend, that's what you're here to do. Right. Call to connect and make a friend. And this is the way I look at it. If the person doesn't do business with me, they have a high chance of getting with a realtor that's not going to serve them, not going to be truthful with them, not going to be authentic with them, not going to serve them like I do. Because I don't know everything, but I know if you do business with me or my team, we're going to do the right thing. We're going to respond on time. We're going to make you feel loved, appreciated. We're going to connect you with the right people. We're going to do the right thing as realtors. So the way I look at prospecting is, if I don't call you, you have a high chance of getting with an agent that's going to screw up the deal. You'll lose your deposit, or they're not truthful, because that's why there's a 90% failure rate, because the majority of agents suck. They really do. You start talking to them, like, how are you in this business? You're just a bad person. Like, what are you doing? Right. So I that's how I just brainwash myself. Okay. To think that way, that if I don't talk to that person, then I run the risk of them going somewhere else, and they run the risk of not being in good hands. Sure. And that's how you have to look at it. You need to make friends with people. That's what you got to do. And if they say they're working with the realtor, guys, if they say, hey, they're already working with the realtor, say, good for you. then guess what? Can we still stay in touch in case your realtor needs other resources or you have more questions? Listen, no commitment whatsoever. I'll do it for free and I'll market your property for you for free. Just show me your listing, give it to me, and I'll send it out to my my channels, right? And they're going to be like, oh my gosh, this person is actually a good person. Because when you go in there with the intentions of making a friend and not closing a deal, your tone sounds different. You look different. I'm telling you, your cadence is different on the phone. And you actually begin to say to yourself, I'm not prospecting. I'm actually just making calls to make friends with people. And hopefully they think of me when they decide to buy or sell.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a genuine approach of I'm here to do what's best for you, not what's best for me. And it's that simple, right? It's that simple because as humans, I think we can instinctively pick up on you're doing this for yourself. You're doing this for selfish reasons, for selfish motives. And I'm not about that because that's not genuine. That's not authentic. That's, not going to make us friends. And I love that. And to go back to Ricky, I've heard him say this exact thing. Make 5 new friends a day, right? That's your job as a real estate agent. Not about selling homes. It's about making 5 new friends a day. And I love that attitude.
Yep. When he said that, I was like, that's exactly it. I'm like, I love it. And that's what we do. That's what we teach as well. 5 friends a day to 100K. That's what we like to say. 5 friends a day to 100K. Boom.
So what do these conversations sound like, right? I mean, let's say that someone is married to their scripts. They're obsessed with just following the same routine, the same scripts, but they're not having success. Maybe agents are now interested in this make 5 new friends a day mindset. Let's do a little role play here, Andy, if you're okay with that. And so that they can get an example of and get a feel for what those calls can sound like. And I'm gonna give you some pushback here. So I'll be your lead or I'll be your contact. And let's go for the friendship, right? Don't go for the sale. Don't go. Let's push for just that connection.
Well, here's the thing. 'Cause I'm gonna tell you this.
Or both.
Be okay to change the script because I know Ricky, he says, hey, good morning. How's the weather doing? Right? That's his script. That's the opening line. Trust me, all day long. I just heard it yesterday when he came in, he spoke on stage. Good morning. How's the weather doing? Well, I'm going to tell you this, folks. In Miami, Florida, in Spanish, you say that, you're getting hung up on immediately. Okay? People in Miami are not the nicest people. So this is what I tell people. Now, does that work? It does work. But I noticed I call, I say, hey, ¿qué tal? Buenos días. ¿Cómo está la clima afuera? Right? Which is, hey, great weather we're having out there, right? People are like, who the hell are you? And hang up. Like, why are you talking to me like that, dude? That's how we are in Miami. You have to also understand your market, right? And also be true to you. So I told my students,
where Ricky's in the Carolinas and that they're totally fine talking about the weather.
They're totally fine with it. And that's the way it should be. Hey, how you doing? This weather we're having is cool, right? Awesome. Love it. But I will say this, where my listings are in Miami and Brickell in South Miami, all that, I started doing that. I'm like, that's it. So I cut that out of my script. Gone.
Okay. Well, I'm glad here. We can get to the role play in a minute. I'm glad that you said this though. Make your scripts flexible because another thing with sounding salesy is sounding robotic and sounding scripted. That is the easiest way to get hung up on. I hang up on every person, robot, I can't even tell sometimes, who sounds super scripted because I don't want to talk to them, right? They're not here to have an authentic conversation. They're here to sell something. So I love that.
And we go right at it. Like we'll skip the intro and I go right into, hey, I don't even say hi, I'm Andy. Okay. Hi, I don't say hi, I'm with eXp Realty. I say, hey, how you doing? I'm a local realtor in your neighborhood and we have a property that's about to hit the market next week. So, in your neighborhood, here's the address. Like I had to go right into why I'm calling, right?
That Miami hustle.
Yeah. It's like, why are you calling? Like, well, I'm calling. Hey, by the way, I'm a local realtor in your area. Okay. And we have a property down the street that just sold for $500,000. And I wanted to know, do you know anyone that wants to move into this neighborhood? Because this is an awesome neighborhood. Boom. I got into the fun. Okay, here's the thing. Yes, you have to be flexible with scripts. Absolutely you do. So it sounds like you. But there's parts of the script that are non-negotiable. This is what listeners have to understand. Because scripts, people say, I don't want to use a script. I go, guess what? You are already using a script. The way you talk, the way you speak to people is a script that you've developed over years of how you are, right?
It's your identity script almost, right?
Your identity script of how you think people should talk, and that's you. But from a sales perspective, you need to have some certain fundamental questions, just like the one I just said. Hey, I'm a local realtor in the area. We have a property across the street, right? We have an open house tomorrow, whatever you're saying, right? We have an open house tomorrow. And I wanted to know, would you know of anyone that's interested in moving into the neighborhood? Because this neighborhood's awesome. Like you want to say that in some shape or form, you have to say that. Because that's going to trigger their, okay, well, tell me more about the property, or no, I'm not interested. If you don't have a script, then here's what's going to happen next. People will just hang up the phone and go, okay, no problem, bye, boom. And people hang up. Like, no, you got to go to the next question, which is, by the way, next time, by the way, okay, before I let you go, if you ever decide to buy or sell real estate in the future, do you have a real estate agent that you would work with? Right? Like, these are things you have to say. So that's the script part of our thing. But like you said, Andrew, you have to find a way that sounds authentic for you, right? What works for you and what sounds true to you. But there's certain fundamental parts that just cannot be negotiated, because you have to be able, if you're told no, you have to have an answer for that. If you're told yes, you have to have an answer for that. Because if not, then you are not doing yourself a service and you're going to limit yourself.
Right. And how would you recommend agents find or develop their most authentic script? Do you think that they should try out a bunch of other people's scripts? Should they just kind of go with their gut feeling? Like, where's a good place to start to develop that authentic script?
The scripts that I got my scripts from Ricky Cruz, flat out. That's I've gone to now I'm not going to name them, but I've gone to all the other real estate gurus out there. And I tried to do it, and I'm a really good salesperson. And it was hard for me to actually spit that out on the phone. I'm like, I can't do this. I'm sorry. Like, it's just, I don't feel good about it. Right. And then that's when when I met Ricky, I was like, man, this guy's scripts sound very like simple, meaning authentic. It's like, dude, I'm here to help you out. Hey, because at one point you're going to buy or sell real estate, and I hope you think of me, right? Like that word hope, by the way, that's a big word that I use on my scripts for people. So if you're listening to this, tell people, hey man, if you buy or sell real estate one day, I would hope you would think of me one day. Can we stay in touch? That sounds non-threatening. That's very casual. That's very beautiful. You're listening to this going, I can say that. Who can't say that? I don't care how much of an extrovert you are or introvert. You can say that, okay? You can say that at a party. You can say that in front of people. You can say that and not feel like a salesperson.
Right.
So I would tell people, honestly, I would love to I can send you, by the way, Andrew, I can email you scripts that we have, okay, that we've touched. And if you want to share it with the audience or something like that, I don't have it at a specific website for the public or anything. But if you want, man, I'll send them over to you by email.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing. In
English and Spanish. You'll see my notes. Nice. You'll see it all there, and I'll give them to you guys. That's all what we have in our program that we use, but I'll give them to you guys for free. Not a problem at all.
Beautiful.
So people can
appreciate
listen.
That.
Yeah, I have Ricky Carruth. It's a lot of it is his, but then I sprinkled a lot of just some sales psychology from my old days with Tony Robbins and Zig Ziglar, and then my style of speaking, and then capturing people's emails a little bit different, but fundamentally it's like Ricky's. But I've added a little bit more of my style in there, and some other sales psychology, but very authentic, very nice, and in English and Spanish for both, because I have an audience for both, for sure.
Well, we really appreciate that. We'll make sure that for everyone listening, we'll make sure that we include that in the show notes here in YouTube, on Facebook, on our audio podcasts, so you can go check those out there. Thank you very much, Andy. That's awesome.
No problem. And it'll be scripts for your sphere, and scripts for circle prospecting. Because that's what I teach the most. It's sphere, circle prospecting, and expireds. I'm going to start doing that in the next couple months now with my students. It's expireds. Okay. So I'll give you guys those two scripts, the sphere and circle prospecting.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. We'll look forward to those. We are getting close to the end here, Andy, but I had one more topic to discuss, and then we'll let you have the final word. We've gone through the whole prospecting routine. Like we started with what habits should you engage with before you even become a real estate agent or before you start prospecting. We've talked about the daily pre-prospecting routines. We've talked about how to make it fulfilling. We've talked about what to do on your calls. What about after your calls? What should agents be doing after they hang up the phone, after they're done prospecting for the day to keep that momentum, to keep that routine and those habits going for the future.
And I'm glad you said this, because this is just as important as everything we just said. Because if after the call, you don't do this, everything that you're doing on the calls and everything, 90% of it won't matter anymore. Okay. So that's why I love REDX, again, because I can put notes, right? As I'm talking to someone, little note section, just to make sure that the name is the actual name. Because sometimes, hey, the name is not the actual name, which is fine. Like I tell you, that's another thing. I just don't name that person on the call. I don't. I stop naming them. Hey, is this Jenny? No, I stopped doing that because some names won't match. But who cares? I'm there to talk to a human. I don't care who the person is, right? There to make a friend, whatever their name is. So, and I put their note. I put the notes into, okay, this person's, their email, some notes about them. If I get on a personal level with how many kids they have, whatever, the conversation can go anywhere. And I put notes in there. After the phone call's done, I tell my students, do not go to the next call until you go now and open up your CRM. Okay. If you don't have a CRM, guys, you better find one, because if not, what the heck's going on? CRM, you open it up. Mine is KV Core. I open it up. I copy and paste the information over. I create a new contact in my CRM. And then I set that person up and I add the notes and all. Just copy and paste everything from REDX, copy, paste it. Real simple. And then I set that contact on some sort of automation. In KV Core, it's a couple clicks. It can be a market report. It could be the property, the kind of property they're looking for, whatever it is that they want. If they don't give me any interest in property, then they're just going to get a generic property report. Here's the thing. They have to get an automated email from you weekly. Now, if you can do all this, obviously a personal email weekly as well, I strongly recommend that as well, right? Where you sit down for an hour and go ahead and write an email to your email list every single week. That's beautiful, okay? But at least get the automated one out of the way, okay? Because that's the simplest one. Then you can sit down and do another email if you want to do that as well. But the automated email is important because, listen, once you're done on that phone call with that person, you're out of sight, out of mind. Same thing with your sphere, a stranger, they'll forget about you. So they need to be able to see an email from you. And by the way, it's not about them opening up the email. Some of you are saying, Andy, but the content's got to be good. It's got to be perfect. It's got to be amazing. No, it doesn't. Okay? Because only 20% of people actually open up their email. So it doesn't even matter. And then if they delete your email, which you're going to, it's fine. They saw Andrew Real Estate. Boom, deleted. Andrew Real Estate, deleted. But guess what? They saw Andrew Real Estate for the past year. So when he gets divorced and he has to buy or sell a property, guess what? He's going to go ahead and contact Andrew because you're top of mind. You're there. And that's the goal of putting the automations in. So after the phone call, you open up your CRM, you put them on some sort of automation where every single week, guys, do not let more than 7 days go by. Okay. There's no too much. Oh man, but what if they don't like it and they unsubscribe? Good. I want them to unsubscribe because then they're not for me. I want a clean list. I would rather have 100 people that are my people, my tribe, than 1,000 people that are not even looking at my content. Does that make sense? So I want to have people that are on my list. Perfect. Okay. And that's what you have to do. And until you don't do that, do not move to the next call. Because I hear some people go, I'm just cranking out calls. But then what are you doing after that? You get their email, then do what? Oh, you got to call. You got to close that loop up before you go to the next step. Right.
Do you do anything as far as like adding them on social media or reaching out to that extent, or does that kind of come later?
No. Well, actually, to give you more specifics, let's get more granular. I don't do social media, but once I get their email, right, I already have their cell phone number. And on my scripts, you'll see I say that. I go, hey, by the way, is this your cell phone number? Because you got to ask them because you don't know what you're calling, right? And make sure you confirm that it's a cell phone number. Because then when I'm done putting them into my CRM and I set them on an automation, then I take out my phone and I text them my business card. I go, it was a pleasure speaking with you, Andrew, right? Here's my business card so they can see who I am, what I look like. And then I ask them, can you please check your email to make sure you received my email? I do that because a lot of my emails go to spam, right? I do a lot of campaigns. I do a lot of different things for my business. So my email address hits a lot of people's spams folder, right? So I want to make sure that I have a clean list, that people are receiving the actual email that I'm actually telling them. Because you don't want to just go through the motions and be like, oh, okay, no, close the loop, shoot them a text. Now they see your cell phone number on their phone, right? A picture of you. They get to know you. Remember, we're here to make friends. And when they see you on your business card, they're like, oh, wow, look at Andy. And then I send them my Instagram. I go, hey, let's also stay in touch. Here's my Instagram. And I have a shortcut on my phone where I just put 3 letters. I put IGA, which is Instagram Andy. Boom, my Instagram link shows up. Don't just give them your Instagram name. You got to give them a link, because all they got to do is click it. You got to make things simple for people. Don't just send them, hey guys, follow Andy Rosas. No, I say follow and the entire URL for Instagram and my name, where all you have to do is click that link and it sends them right to my Instagram. That's what I do to the T on every single person that gets my email. That's what it is. If someone doesn't give you their email because they're older and they're like, I don't have an email, young man, then guess what? Right. You send them a postcard, handwritten. That's what I do. Okay. Here you go. Nice. Man, here's my business card inside. Boom. Thank you very much. It was great talking to you. Mail it to them. I
was going to ask about mailers next. I was going to ask if you do any physical stuff. It sounds like for the people that it's most relevant for, and I won't say only old people, but
not old people. You're right. I was kind of messed up. You're right.
No, that's all right. I'm joking. But you're right. I mean, you want to speak to people how they're most comfortable being spoken to. Some people that's on the phone, some people that's over text, and it sounds like you kind of probe, engage, and figure out what their most comfortable form of communication is, so that you can be top of mind in whatever way is most comfortable for them. I think that's an excellent strategy.
Guys, go deep. Don't go wide. Go deep. Okay. Yes, the dialer makes you get into this mode of gotta crank out 1,000 calls. But once you got that person's email, you need to stop and just think. You just build some rapport with somebody, but they're not your friend yet. You got to go deep. You got to go ahead and just text them that follow-up, CRM that email, confirm they got that email, text them your Instagram or Facebook, okay? You got to go deep. And then when they follow you back on Instagram, then you got to like their pictures, friend them back, DM them now and say, hey, now we're social media friends. Things are getting serious, huh? Whatever. Just be fun with this, guys. And then now they'll start liking your pictures. They'll see who your parents are. They'll see who you are. They'll see your cat memes. That's what it is. Will it take 10 minutes to do? Yes, it will. But guess what? That's what it takes. All it takes is 5 of those a day. You do 5 of those a day, you'll easily make a 6-figure income out of this in the next couple of years without a problem, easily, because you're truly being authentic. And when you start to actually do that, then your identity starts to change, and you're going to actually convince yourself that, you know what? I really do care about people. Yes, I love that $10,000 commission check. Don't get me wrong. I love it. But you made a friend. You went through all that work to do it, and you said, you know what? I am actually someone that cares about connecting with people and making friends. That is cool, right? So it's a beautiful psychological feedback loop that starts to happen when you do that.
That's amazing. You brought it full circle, and I don't think there's a whole lot more to say other than, Andy, we're going to have to bring you back on to talk about maybe what these emails say, what your Instagram posts look like, what these calls sound like. I know we didn't get to the role play.
Yeah,
we'll
get you back on. We did a role play, man. I know.
No, that's
fine. You off, it seemed like. Sorry.
That's fine. No, you're totally good. We got into more important stuff than a role play, right? And we'll get to that another time. Andy, thank you so much. I just want to leave you with the last word. Any final advice? Any mic drop that you want to land here with the people before we leave?
Well, first of all, is this. All the trainings that I give this out for free every Wednesday at 5 p.m. I do trainings every single week for the audience. I go into CRM organization, how to organize your CRM, so I can show you exactly. I show it as to how I do everything I just talked about. Okay, I show you my morning routines, how to build your morning routine, how to schedule the rest of your day, right? Productivity systems, because what's going to happen is with REDX and my habits, you're going to make more calls. And when you make more calls, you're going to get more business, and you're going to be very busy. And if you don't have good productivity habits, you're not going to be able to scale your business. So I also teach you productivity systems on how to be able to scale your business. I also do live role playing. I call with the dialer up and open. Everyone sees how I use REDX. You'll see how I do it. You'll see me get killed on live. You see me get loved live in English and Spanish because I'm calling in Miami. So you'll hear me speak both languages, right? So I definitely recommend if you guys want to go ahead and jump in on those trainings. They're free. Go to www.habitguys.com/top. That's TOP. There you go. That's so nice.
Right there on the screen.
Well done,
I got
Andrew.
you. I got you.
Love it.
I got you.
So definitely that. And there I deep dives in those 30 minutes. Just 30 minutes, boom. In Spanish, it's at 5:30, but I don't think the Spanish audience will be here. So I'm not talking to them now. So habitguys.com/top to do that. And that's what and the final word is simple, Andrew. Without habits, okay, nothing else matters. It doesn't matter how great the material is that REDX gives you guys. It could be, they can hand you everything, which they are. They're giving you the name, the number, the address. They give you property information. They give you everything. The dial that calls it for you. It's literally doing it for you. You only have to press one button, and guess what? People still don't use it. Why? Because they're habits. And until you don't change people's habits and change their identity, none of what you guys do, that you guys spend millions of dollars on, developing technologies, doing all these beautiful things that you're doing, none of it matters. So until we start talking habits, that's where we're going to be able to take this to the next level and drop that 90% failure rate. Because that's what your guys are doing. That's what I'm doing. We are helping that failure rate drop because that is ridiculous. People are coming here to change their lives, to fulfill their dreams, but yet they have to go back to a job they can't stand because they don't have the right habits in place. So we're changing that. So between your systems and my habits, I'm telling you, I'm so proud to be a partner with you guys. And I say that with so much love and compassion because it's also changed my life and my business because I'm closing deals with you guys too, right? So it's beautiful.
Boom. I couldn't have said it better myself. I totally agree, Andy. Thank you so much. We love working with you too. For the audience, we're getting a lot of thank you. This is amazing. Excellent recommendations. People are loving this. So again, Andy, thank you so much. We're definitely going to get you back on the show. For the audience, we do this every Thursday. So join us every Thursday, same time, same place, on our website, on YouTube, on Facebook. Check out the REDX Elite Prospectors Facebook group. If you're a REDX customer, check out the REDX forum. That's where people engage and have conversations about the software, about their prospecting strategies. Check out Andy's website, habitguys.com.
Oh, and our podcast. That's right. And our podcast. Sorry. habitguys.com/podcast. Sorry about that. Forgot to drop that too. So there you go. You got it ready to go.
I'm glad you did. And can they find that podcast? Apple, Spotify, YouTube, everywhere?
Yeah, Apple, all that. And I definitely want you guys on my podcast too. We got to talk about that as well. I want you guys
let's do it
as well.
Let's hook it up. Awesome. Well, again, thank you, Andy. For everyone else, we will see you next Thursday, same time, same place. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their Thursday. We'll see you later.
Awesome.